The neighbor's dash cam. That night, my husband came home late. The rain was heavier than usual, pounding against the windows. His phone wasn't answering. Then, at 2 a.m., the police called. He'd been in an accident. His dash cam, they said, was turned off. I thought it was just a malfunction at first. But something didn't feel right. He was always so careful with everything, especially his car. When I saw him in the hospital hallway, his face was unfamiliar. His eyes were unstable, his responses slow. "She just jumped out," he kept repeating. That's all he said. The police asked to see the dashcam footage, but he insisted it wasn't working. Then, that afternoon, our neighbor stopped by. He handed me a USB drive carefully. "Everything from that night is on my dashcam," he said quietly. With those words, time seemed to stop. From that moment, the truth began to reveal itself, frame by frame. My husband was taken to the police station. His statement was brief. He said he was tired. But nothing he said matched the accident scene. The brake marks were too short. Even with rain, there should have been more evidence. The police asked carefully, "Do you know the victim?" He shook his head. But in that moment, his hands trembled slightly. Back home, as I was about to wash his shirt, I smelled something. An unfamiliar perfume. A woman's scent. My heart went cold. A fragrance I'd never smelled before, and it was on his clothes, in our home. That night, my husband stared out the window for hours. Beyond the glass, our neighbor's lights flickered in the darkness. Something about those lights made me uneasy. Days later, the police called again. "We've obtained new footage. It showed my husband's car and the neighbor's car on the same road at the same time." Suddenly, everything began to connect. The accident, the disabled dashcam, and our neighbor. After that day, my husband changed. He spoke less. He wouldn't meet my eyes. I thought it was just exhaustion, but something gnawed at me. Every night, his phone rang. He'd quietly go to the living room to answer. "Work stuff," he'd always say. The same excuse, every time. One day, I smelled that perfume again on his shirt. This time, it was stronger, deeper. I opened his wallet without thinking. A hotel receipt. An unfamiliar name written below it. I couldn't sleep after that. Once my husband left for work, I tore through his room. In his desk drawer, buried beneath papers, I found an old USB drive, the dash cam. The device he said had failed. My heart raced. Fear and anger flooded through me at once. I hid it deep in the drawer, and I said nothing. That night, I saw the neighbor's lights flicker beyond the window. When they switched off and on again, it felt like someone was watching me. That's when I understood. This wasn't just an accident. Someone knew everything. Days later, as I passed by the neighbor's house, I caught a glimpse through an open door. The walls were covered in photographs. Images from the accident scene. Different angles of the damaged vehicles. And my husband's face. My skin crawled. He didn't see me. He was on the phone. It will be over soon. The truth is recorded, and it always comes back. Those words stayed with me. When I got home, I searched his name online. Tom, family of hit-and-run victim. His wife had died in a hit-and-run accident years ago. The driver was never found. Below the article was a photo of a car. My husband's license plate. I couldn't breathe. Everything connected. Our neighbor wasn't just a witness. He was the victim. I pulled out the USB from the drawer. My hands shook. Inside was another video. A wet street at night. My husband's car. Behind it, the neighbor's car following. He'd been watching my husband for a long time. Revenge had already begun. That night, I cracked open the window and listened as my husband spoke on the phone. His voice was low, careful. Money should work, right? That guy just wants revenge anyway. My heart stopped. He was hiding something. and he was trying to buy his way out of it. The next day, he dressed and left. I followed him in secret. The rain was light and cold. He entered an old warehouse building. The neighbor was waiting inside. They faced each other in silence. After a long moment, my husband pulled out an envelope. "Let's end this," he said. The neighbor didn't take it. He shook his head slowly. "It's not money that ends this. It's guilt." My husband's face twisted. "What do you know? I saw everything you did." The neighbor's voice was quiet but firm. "The truth is recorded. The question is, who's ready to face it?" My husband threw the envelope down. Cash scattered across the floor. The air grew heavy. I watched it all from outside the building, through the glass. Two men separated by distance and sin. After that day, my husband fell deeper into silence. And every day at the same time, the neighbor would sit by his window, waiting for something. That night, I finally opened the USB. My hands trembled as I clicked the file. Truth, MP4. The screen showed a rainy road. My husband's car was parked. A woman was knocking on his window. There was no sound, but I could read her lips. "Why did you abandon me?" My husband turned away, shouting, "Enough! Stop this!" She stepped back. In that moment, the car moved forward. A collision. A brief scream. Then silence. I thought the video would end. But then another angle appeared. The same scene from across the street. A man was filming from inside a car, quietly holding a camera. The neighbor, Tom. He'd seen it all. The accident. The fight. Everything. At the end of the video, a single sentence remained. Truth is recorded, and it always returns. I wept. My husband was the perpetrator. The neighbor was the avenger. And I was caught between them. Days passed. My husband remained silent. His shirt still carried that strange lilac scent. I washed it again and again. But inexplicably, the fragrance returned each day. That evening, my daughter Jessica knocked on my bedroom door. "Mom, can we talk?" Her voice was different. I closed my laptop and looked at her. She quietly handed me a USB drive. "I found this in Dad's drawer," I already knew. But I shook my head. "It's just work files." She didn't smile. "Mom, I know everything." "Know what?" Her eyes didn't waver. "I know who Dad was with that night. I know who that woman was." My heart stopped. "How do you—" "There was a video. I made a backup. I was afraid Dad might delete it." I was speechless. "Why would you do that, Jessica?" "Because truth needs to be protected. Someone has to see it." My chest broke. There was no fear in her eyes. No anger. Just a calm acceptance. Like she'd known all along. "Who did you show the video to?" Jessica answered slowly. "Our neighbor." The air stopped. Every piece of the puzzle fit perfectly. My husband's lies. The neighbor's revenge. And the person who made it possible. My daughter. That night, it rained again. Strangely, it was the same time as the original accident. My husband was drunk. A USB lay on the living room table. He laughed, a laugh I'd never heard before. So now everyone knows. That laughter was so alien. His eyes held both terror and madness. That man, he's not who you think he is. Before I could understand what he meant, he grabbed his car keys. I tried to stop him. "Don't go. No one can save you now." But he was already gone. The front door closed. The car started. The rain grew heavier. The world beyond the window was nothing but dim lights. I ran outside without an umbrella. His car was already disappearing around the corner. My heart pounded. I knew where he was going. Days earlier, the neighbor's words echoed in my mind. "I've lived here for over a year now. Every day, I watched your husband through that window. At first, I thought it was just a joke. But now I understand. He's never forgotten that day. Not for a moment. His voice was calm, but his eyes held 5 years of grief. He wasn't just a neighbor. He'd moved here to record the truth. Then, a crash. Distant, but unmistakable. Lights flickered. Lightning and police sirens mixed together, turning the world white for a moment. I ran toward it. 2 cars had collided. One was my husband's. The other was the neighbor's. Neither of them moved. Rain mixed with blood on the pavement. Police rushed around in confusion. Someone shouted, "Dashcam is recording!" Those words echoed strangely. Everything was repeating. Another truth was being recorded. I collapsed right there. Rain hit my face, but I couldn't tell if I was crying or if it was just the storm. Truth had returned, once again. The hospital hallway was silent. Only the beeping of machines filled the emptiness. I sat beside my husband's bed. He struggled to open his eyes. After staring at me for a long moment, his lips trembled as he spoke. That day, I didn't mean to push her. He struggled to breathe. She was blackmailing me. She threatened to expose everything I'd done. Tears ran down his neck. I just wanted her to stop. But she ran toward the car. I couldn't stop. My hands clenched. A tear fell from his eye. "Tom, he's my past," he said. Those words stopped time itself. His wife. That accident. I caused it. I couldn't breathe. He shook his head. I've been dead ever since that day. But now I'm finally paying the price. His hand slowly slipped away from mine. The machine's beeping stretched into a single, endless tone. Outside the window, lightning flashed. Rain continued to fall. Days later, Tom slowly opened his eyes. His body felt strange. Bandages wrapped his neck. Each breath sent waves of pain through him. A shadow fell across his face. It was Sarah, my daughter's friend, I realized now. She held a paper cup with trembling hands. "You're awake," she said quietly. But beneath her calm voice was days of worry and fear. Tom tried to speak, but his voice wouldn't come. His lips trembled beneath the bandages. Sarah sat down beside him. "Your husband. He was arrested," she said. She paused. Everything came out. Tom's eyes flickered. Pain, regret, and relief all mixed together. Sarah pulled out a USB drive. "This changed everything. Your recording. The timestamp proved everything." Tom nodded slowly, closing his eyes, then opening them again. He breathed carefully, his lips moving silently. Sarah squeezed his hand. There was barely any strength in his grip. Then Tom pointed toward the window. When she opened the curtains, sunlight flooded in. Dust particles sparkled in the light. In that brightness, he spoke quietly, remembering. "At first, I came for revenge. I rented the house next door. Every day, I recorded the time their lights turned off. But one day, I saw through the window, you laughing with your child. That's when I realized, truth lasts longer than revenge." Sarah said nothing. She just lowered her head. Though she didn't speak, her lips clearly formed the words, "It's finally over." Days later, the hospital TV showed the news. Former executive arrested for hit-and-run cover-up and evidence tampering. The anchor's voice was cold and distant. My husband's face slowly faded from the screen. There was no trace of a smile left. Sarah found Tom's room. In her hands was a small box. "The police gave me this. They said your husband wanted you to have these items from his office." She opened it. Inside was an old dash cam, a bottle of perfume, and a single photograph. 3 people in the photo: Tom, my husband, and Sarah herself. A company workshop photo from years ago. A spring day with beautiful sunlight. 3 friends, smiling as if nothing had happened. Sarah stared at the photo for a long time before speaking. Back then, we were really friends, weren't we? Tom couldn't answer. His lips trembled beneath the bandages. His eyes held sadness, regret, and an old forgiveness. Sarah set down the photo and picked up the perfume bottle. When she opened it, the familiar lilac scent filled the room. But now it wasn't a sign of seduction. It was the scent of guilt and memory. "This should be yours," Sarah said quietly, placing the perfume and USB on the table. Next to them lay the photograph. Light streamed in at an angle, brushing across all three faces. Slowly, the screen faded to black. Truth sometimes tears people apart, but memory eventually heals those wounds. Some chose silence, others chose to record, and that recording set the world in motion again. The camera slowly moved toward the hospital window. On the table, a photograph, a perfume bottle, and a dash cam with a red light blinking. The light lingered for a moment, then slowly faded. But even after the screen went completely dark, one small LED on the USB drive continued to blink. Recording saved. The recording never ended. Everyone has a truth they want to hide. If it were you, would you forgive? Or would you expose everything? Think about it. A man buried by guilt, choosing silence. A man who recorded the truth, choosing to bear witness. A daughter caught between family and justice. Who made the right choice? Who deserves forgiveness? Share your answer in the comments below. We're reading every single one. And if this story touched your heart or unsettled it, subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss the next story. Because truth always returns. This is a work of fiction exploring themes of justice, truth, and redemption. Characters and events are created for dramatic effect.